Welcome again to another final World Cup 2026 predictions. I've done two videos so far. I think the first one was back in early May, second one just few weeks back when the group stages was still in action, was still a lot of matches was basically underway. And finally, of course, I decided to do another prediction today, 29th of June 2026, for the round of 32. Of course, one of the games have already been played last morning, of course, here in the different time zone. Canada goes to the next round in the round of 16. Now they are all together about 32 games to be played here. So 16 teams will go to the next round, and I will be picking my prediction, and this will be my final prediction for the last one. After this, I think it's time to move on to other competitions. I think a month from now we will not be talking about the World Cup anymore. 21st of July is the last day of the finals. And thank you, of course, for people who have been watching this channel. And let's start with our round of 32 predictions. I think at this stage in time, we practically know how every team is going to perform in terms of in terms of their performance, in terms of how they have pretty much played in the World Cup 2026 so far, their momentum. And basically, I think, the strongest team, the weakest side, the dark horses of this tournament have basically unraveled and have basically revealed themselves for this tournament, unraveled in a way. So let's look at match 74, which is today, Germany versus Paraguay. Germany has been in this tournament. They have been very, very consistent so far. In of course their match. Let's look at a bit of data for Germany. I think if you look at in terms of the group standings, Germany have of course finished in first. Remember, of course, they did lose their last game against Ecuador, which a lot of people would say, it could be some sort of different fault in terms of tactics. And I mean, they scored earlier on. Leroy Sane, Nicolas Angulo, and Gonzalo, of course, scored Ecuador's third goal. Um, I think in Ecuador, still they managed to, of course, qualify from that win against Germany. Now, in terms of Paraguay, let's look at Paraguay in times of this video. I think Paraguay, of course, coming in from the group, which is the Group D, USA, Australia, and Paraguay. They did finish with 4 points, having a win, a draw, and a defeat. I think moving on to this game, Germany, I think in their mindset, they were not really kind of reserved in the third match, already qualified. So I would say that Germany would basically progress to the next round. Match 75, this is a very hard match to predict. It could go either way. Netherlands and Morocco. Morocco have basically finished their group with a very, very strong statement with Brazil, Scotland, and Haiti. I think Morocco was always one of the favorites to go through to this round. And a lot of people did predict that Brazil might just draw against Morocco. And again, against the Netherlands, their performance against Sweden was absolutely phenomenal, scoring, I think, 4 goals in that match alone. If you look at the match again, I think the Netherlands have finished this group quite astoundingly, a 3-1 winning against Tunisia. They have been, of course, in a very, very quite a very simple group. Apart from Japan, it's quite a tough challenge, and of course from Sweden. I think Tunisia was basically the least. I mean, all winning, sorry, losing every match. And if you look at this tournament so far, I'm just going through the tables here. I think Panama is the biggest loser, not scoring even a single goal. and losing every game in this tournament. So, of course, I think if you give me the chance, Netherlands and Morocco, you know what? I'm going to go for Morocco to go to the next round. I think Morocco has a very astounding track record. I think it's one of the best African side to be in this tournament. A nine African side managed to advance to the round of 32. Only left eight, with South Africa eliminated last morning. So Canada are going through in that match. So match 75, Netherlands would go to the next round. Next match is also something that I would not expect Brazil to win comfortably. There will be struggles. There will be, even, if you want to say that, this game Brazil could lose, I mean, I'm all for it. It's a very hard game to predict. It might go to extra time. Japan has proven they have been very, very solid in terms of their performance this time around. Nobody thought Japan would at least finish second. I think a lot of people were betting on Netherlands and Sweden. A very solid performance from Japan, scoring seven, and against, of course, three goals against, two draws, and undefeated in this game. I think Japan had a very good chance, but Brazil, just of course, itching it in this round of 32. I think it's maybe too, in terms of predicting logically, it's a bit too early for Brazil to be knocked out from this one. And I think they have always uh, Brazil have a very Brazil have a very poor record against European sides. I mean, if this was against Austria, even a lower tier European side like Sweden, I think it could be very shaky for Brazil. But of course, against Japan and of course other regions and other countries, I think they still have a very good chance. So Brazil will go through the next round. My prediction for this one. Match 77, France versus Sweden. I think this is a very, very it's a game that a lot of people will be betting on France. Nonetheless, this team have yet again. I mean, France have been such. I think have the best track record in terms of winnability. They have won France and Argentina. I mean, Argentina slightly better compared to France, winning three times all the games, scoring eight goals, only managing to concede once. France scored two goals, as 10 goals, sorry, and conceding only two. So goal difference, they are slightly the better side in terms of their comparison. And I don't see any other team. Is there any other team that have won every tournament? Mexico, yes, Mexico. But of course, Mexico comparatively to have had a very quite an easy side, and but still, I mean, South Korea and Czech. But of course, a head to head, I think France did much better. I think France with Norway and Senegal were quite a tough fight. Argentina might be on the easier side. Algeria and Jordan, maybe not to the level. Win against Austria also. I think Argentina has not been tested yet, but I think France, Mexico, quite a good side in this tournament. And I think this time around, I would go for France to go to the next round. Ivory Coast and Norway. This is a game that, I think it's another nail biting game. But I predict that, Haaland, again, for Norway, it's not only Haaland, of course, it's the whole team that matters. I think Norway have been, since they have been drawn in a very, very hard group, especially for that second position against Senegal and Iraq. And again, against another African side, if you look at the comparison, I think Ivory Coast might just hitch out. Mexico and Ecuador. Again, I've just stated Mexico, another one of the most successful tie. They haven't conceded a goal in this tournament, and I think Ecuador, in the other hand, has not been up to the standards. If comparatively, they have finished third in their group, and I think Mexico will go to the next round. England and Congo. England, remember, against Ghana. They had a very, very troublesome game, a hard game against Ghana. It's another African side that they will face. Congo, which have been doing very well in this tournament around. I think Congo have finished just below par. This time around, I think it will. I think England would slightly edge this one and to win this one, but it's not going to be an easy fight. Brazil, Japan, and England and Congo are two games that could have some spoilers. But England, I think, as this stage is still too early to eliminate them comparatively. USA and Bosnia, I would love to, have an upset here. I think Bosnia, uh, comparatively, had a very hard group: Qatar, Canada, and Switzerland. Yet, of course, they managed to score 5 goals. They managed to have a win, draw, a defeat. USA, in the other hand, a last day defeat against Turkey. I thought USA, if they could have won against Turkey, would have been, my favorite to win. But of course, I think they have been in a very reserved mood, winning the 2 games, and thinking that third game might not be such a game that is to be won, and of course reserved energy of their players. I would love to pick USA, but I think they might just edge out Bosnia. Uh, Upset could happen, but of course, I think on their home turf, I think USA could basically just do it. Belgium and Senegal. I think a lot of people have been in the previous years have been, selling that, this time around Belgium, they still have a bit of their golden generation. I think, 8 years ago is a different story, and this time around they had a pretty, sufficient group: Egypt, Iran, and they still managed to have only a single victory. This could be, a game that could have. I think Senegal also aside. They had a pretty rough a rough game, a rough group, and but still managed to score 8 goals. But you know what? I'm going to say first upset. I'm going to go Senegal. Senegal to go through to the next round. Portugal and Croatia. Portugal, of course, you can't talk about Portugal without, of course, mentioning Cristiano Ronaldo. Their second game have been an uplifter, I think, for a lot of fans. But their third game against this side was not a game to remember. I think for Portugal, an old draw against. Let's look for the match. And the last draw, I think Portugal, when they were against Colombia, a nil-nil draw. I think, well, it is, against Croatia, a side that, could have always been the king of upsets. They eliminated Argentina back in 2018 when they were quite a strong side. They did not actually perform well last World Cup. And this time around, Portugal has to up their game. I think, Croatia have a very good chance to upset Portugal. But in this one, I think Portugal will manage to edge out. Spain and Austria, I think Spain will have a very good chance to go through. Switzerland and Algeria, I would go for Algeria. I think Algeria has, have been drawn in a much harder team. Maybe a chance for them, 3-3 draw against Austria in that game. If they can maintain that momentum, they have a very good chance of going through. And Switzerland's last game. Let's see if the last game was against I think previously Switzerland played Canada. They had a 2-1 victory. But still, I think Algeria has a very good chance to go to the next round. Canada, of course, Switzerland are winning their group with quite an easy group for their standards, to be honest. So I think I'm going to go for Algeria. Argentina, Cap Verde. Well, if Cap Verde wins this one, it would be they would be the star of the team. They would be, sorry, the star of the tournament. They don't need to win the World Cup. They could just defeat Argentina, go to the round of 16, and still be the highlight of the game, the highlight of the tournament. If Cap Verde, I mean, if Wozinha, the goalkeeper, just does something magical, saves Messi's shot if Cap Verde can do it, and it's such a pressure, I think, for Argentina. I mean, they have been performing well, but imagine, of course, losing to Cap Verde. Things can happen in football, but of course, yes, I think this is one of the match that every bookie would basically, bet on Argentina to win this one. So Argentina, my prediction will go through. Colombia and Ghana. Okay. I think Ghana, of course, finished in third In their group, Colombia, I think winning their group, not a bad result for the group. Colombia will edge Ghana. Australia and Egypt. I think Egypt. All right. I needed to change my predictor web because Telegraph requires us to subscribe going on to round of 16, which is ridiculous from Telegraph. I mean, come on. You really want to, suck money off the people over the internet just by, not giving them access to your prediction? Absolutely rubbish. So, all of you, please do not go to Telegraph because they just are, of course, bloodsuckers. You can, of course, go to this website, bn.com World Cup predictions. I can actually give you the link in my prediction below so you can freely give your predictions. Now, continuing, of course, around the 16, Germany and France, I would say Germany would not. I think France is too powerful for them, and think France have been this consistent since 2018. I think the last time France were a bit. I think their worst World Cup performance was back in 2002 after becoming champions in 1998. 2006 in the finalists, 2010s. They were, of course, knocked out, I think, in the semifinals or in the finals. I'm not really sure. 2014, they were quarterfinalists. And, of course, we all know what happened in 2018. Last year, finalists. And this year, they have a very good chance. I think in matter of 8 to 12 years, France have been really consistent. I think this is one of the most best French side ever. Really, really solid performance from them. I think Canada and Morocco. I think Morocco to go through to the next round against France. It almost seems like a repeat of the last quarter semifinals back in 2022. Portugal and Spain. I think it's a very tight. I mean, it could go either way. Spain has been one of the teams that have been underperforming. A lot of people have been giving them a lot of hope in this World Cup. Their performance have been very much at par at best, not really showing their strength and wit to go all the way to the finals. Portugal also, with the draws, but I think Spain would go to the end. USA and Senegal. I think Senegal is another side that have been, very much of a pedigree, and I think they would go to the next round, becoming, the one of the most successful African side in this in this World Cup tournament. Reflecting, back in, I think it was Ghana. I think back in 2010s, where they went all the way to the semis. Brazil against Norway. Oh, this is going to be, I think Brazil, they just haven't shown, a good sort of, gameplay that, everybody wants Brazil to win the team, but of course they Brazil have not been really tested. There was no, Scotland, I think, was one of the games that, maybe it was quite clear for Brazil. But against Norway, quite a difficult side in a way. But Brazil might just go to the quarterfinals. Mexico and England. Well, I think it could be Mexico, it could be England, but I think England have no problem overcoming Mexico. Argentina and Egypt. As much as surprises could happen, Argentina would go through to the next round. I think just I mean, they have a quality side, quality team. I think Messi did not actually come on in their win against Jordan, and still, I think, yeah, I mean, Jordan it's far fetched. It's a far lower ranking team compared to Egypt, but still a bit of challenge. Algeria, Colombia. I think Colombia would, of course, go through to the next round. France and Morocco. France, I think, a bit too powerful for Morocco to withstand. I think they would go to the next round. Spain and Senegal. I think Spain would ultimately win against Senegal. Sorry, against, yes, and they would. It will be really interesting to see Senegal meeting France again. France Senegal fixture has been really popular since 2002 in the opening match, where France, world champions, lost against a new first ever. African side, Senegal at the time, and well, I think that was a very different French team. I think that was one of the French team that full of stars, but just something just did not go on for them. I think, but this time around, it's a very different French side. I think Brazil and England. I think England would basically win. I don't see Brazil going that far in this tournament. I think Brazil, Argentina, teams like this, you would know earlier on if they had that X factor to go all the way to win it. For Brazil, I just don't see them yet to go all the way. A very solid performance against Scotland, but still, I think England is also not a better side, but still, I think England had maybe the edge against Brazil. I think Argentina would progress to the next round against Colombia. This will be a very nail biting semi final. France against Spain, almost similarly back in 2006, where they met Spain in the semi final and they went all the way. I think France would have no problem to beat Spain. England and Argentina, Messi and Kane, this time around, two different generations, a lot of history between England and Argentina. The last time England met Argentina in a World Cup was back in the group stages in 2002. I think since then, England have never met Argentina. I think the last time they won the Beckham penalty back in 2002, Sapporo. I had a very good memory of that World Cup. Was my first World Cup, of course, as a kid. But I think this time around, Argentina would go through. I just have just a strong, thinking that this time a strong instinct to believe France would meet against Argentina again. And this time around, the fates of fortunes might be different. France versus Croatia in 2018, France again versus Argentina in 2022, France Argentina again in 2026. Now, this is, I think, do they have any third placing? I think if third placing England against Spain, I think that one was. I think England would still win the third placing. But of course, this is the game. Sunday, 19th of July, France versus Argentina. It's a very nail biting possession. I think, yeah, I would love, you know, France have been really dominant in the world football. They have been in four, three World Cup finals in 2006, in 2018, in 2022. Uh, wow. I mean, that is, absolutely a miracle. 2022, 2018, 2006. Argentina have been in the finals 2014, and of course in 2022, defending champions. Um, we saw the best finals last year. Sorry, last edition in Qatar. I think that was the best ever finals in my perception. I don't see a much better final. They had everything. They had extra time. They had penalties, drama, and if Messi had the final penalty shot that won Argentina the World Cup, it would have been an icing on the cake. But still, they got Messi, they got Mbappe. This time around, France and Argentina, uh, they're the only teams that have been really dominant in this tournament so far. Really dominant. And, well, if you ask me, it's a very hard prediction to make. But you know what? Messi have been absolutely brilliant. This guy, the thing that makes him brilliant is it's just does it relaxed, so relaxed. And he just scores like, it's his first ever goal. And he had at this stage, Messi does not need to prove a single penny of a point. Everybody knows he's a legend. He's the all-time top scorer in the World Cup. What else that he hasn't won? I mean, playing, of course, in USA, in MLS, this is another a coincidence, of course. I mean, playing in his club country where he played, Miami, Inter Miami, and of course the World Cup is in the USA. I mean, he has been in the USA for some time now. Is basically, I think, knows very much familiar with the American landscape, and to have the World Cup there, biggest ever national tournament of football, and of course, I think the Americans today, I think they're finally called football, no more soccer and whatever issue, and I think France also tremendous side. Kylian Mbappe. I think Kylian Mbappe would be the next all time goal scorer for the World Cup. He's still young. He has at least 5 or 6 more editions of World Cup in his belt. Maybe 4 or 5 more World Cups. You would see Kylian Mbappe. So I think this would be maybe, if not Messi's last World Cup. I doubt that it will be his last World Cup. Even for Ronaldo, I think both of them. I think Ronaldo is aiming to have their 1,000 goal. Sorry, I'm a bit draggy just to make this prediction. But again, it all boils down to France and Argentina. This time around, I would still Argentina to win, to defend, becoming the first ever national side since Italy 1934 and 1938, becoming back to back champions and winning it for the world. Argentina, yet again. The last time, the second South American team to win the World Cup on American soil, Brazil, 1994, have done it in the last 2 years. This time around, Argentina to win it. And, well, this is just my prediction. It could go either way. You could see different teams in this final. I would love to have a different side winning the World Cup, but I don't see any different side. Who are they? Spain, uh, Holland, Netherlands. I don't see them winning. There are no other side, that are capable. If there's, I mean, if it's a Morocco versus Senegal, I hope there would be a Morocco Senegal World Cup final. But I think in the end of the day, it comes to the best. It will be a bloody but fine, and Messi will of course seal his name for the best ever. If Ronaldo, I don't mind Cristiano Ronaldo. If Portugal goes and win the World Cup, it's good for him. But I don't see his side going all the way. I mean, it's very different. I mean, you should win games against Colombia. You should win games in the group stages comfortably to be of course all the way. And yeah, this is my predictions. Final. I'll not be doing any more World Cup predictions after this. I'll be doing for the AFF Cup and of course the Asian Cup predictions. But again, this is my final prediction. Argentina to defend its world title against France, and to become crowned the 4th-time world champion. They are catching up against Brazil, and they're equivalent to Italy and Germany. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.